I walked into Windsor's here in Augusta about 4 weeks ago and picked up the Tudor Black Bay Heritage Chronograph, the Panda dial, and this is such an amazing piece. There were some really cool updates they were super excited about. So after 3 weeks of wearing this every day, I finally get why this Tudor Black Bay is such a hype piece, but it's not perfect. One thing really disappointed me, and I'll tell you why as we start to move into the rest of this video. So as you can see here, I have the Tudor Black Bay chronograph, the Panda dial version. This is reference number 79360N, and it comes in a 41mm case size. So I really love that case size. Both Rolex and Tudor starting to dabble with the 41mm case size versus the 42. From a thickness perspective, you're going to come in at about 14.5mm thick. This is going to come in a little bit thinner than what the Speedmaster's is. And you have a 50mm lug to lug. So despite being 41mm, you start to see that it stretches towards the bigger end. So I would recommend this for a wrist as small as 6.25. My wrist is 7.25 inches, and this fits me just fine. 50mm is about towards the high end of the range for me. I can go all the way out to 52mm and it still be a comfortable wearing experience. We have a fixed stainless steel bezel with this black anodized aluminum. We've seen Omega do this with the Omega Speedmaster 300 line, and I really love the black look that this provides. So some more of the basic specs. We get a dome sapphire crystal that is customary on all the Black Bay lines. And we have the manufacturer caliber MT5813, which is a COSC certified chronograph movement. This is also a movement that you can find in a lot of the Breitling chronographs. So I'm not sure which manufacturer makes it because they both say that it is in-house, but it is not a movement that you can just go buy off the shelf. And I do enjoy the fact that this is a chronograph diver. More on that to come. 200mm of water resistance, so that translates to 660 feet. And then we get 70 hours of power reserve, which is really good for a chronograph, a modern day chronograph at this particular price point. The dial, we have this opaline white with matte black sub dials, and that's where we get the Panda layout from. And then our crown is a screw down crown with the Tudor rose in relief, one of my favorite little small aesthetics with the Tudor Black Bay lineup. Our pushers are also going to be screwed down, so you're not supposed to operate a chronograph underwater. This design makes sure that that cannot happen. So you need to unscrew the crowns to action the chronograph. The old Tudor Tiger prints had a similar feature, and it was never one that deterred me from buying it. However, that is the annoying feature that really disturbed me about this watch. I never really fully understood the benefit of having screw down chronograph pushers. It makes it a little bit hard to access. Oh, the chronograph does feature a column wheel with a vertical clutch, means that you can leave the center seconds running without any additional wear on the watch, which is something that's really important for a chronograph. And if you like me, I like to see my central second hand running on when I'm wearing the watch. So let's dive into the most important thing when we're thinking about watching is comfort and wearability. The Tudor Black Bay, like I said, wears a little bit larger than its dimensions. So at 41, because of the 50mm lugs, I do feel like this wears closer to a 42mm. I actually think it wears a little bit bigger than the Omega, and the Omega my Omega Speedmaster is a 42mm watch, and that is primarily because the lugs. This is still relatively thin for a chronograph, so 14.5mm thick is not necessarily thin. It's not JLC thin. But it's not 16mm, 16.5mm as we can see with some of the larger chronographs. However, because of the lug design, it is a little bit top heavy. So what I mean by that is like on the Omega, on my JLC, the lugs have such a deep downward turn, and the lugs kind of sit in the middle of the case. The Tudor is very top heavy, so the lugs are at the bottom of the case and it builds up from there. And so it makes it look a little bit thicker, giving the case a little bit of heft. However, it's not when you look at it, you can tell that this is not a massive watch, and the proportions are really, really good. The Tudor Black Bay design DNA dictates that this watch has a little bit of thickness, and I think in the way that it looks, but this really does look incredible. The bracelet is extremely comfortable, and this is not a Jubilee bracelet. That's something they've been really intentional about correcting. This is a single link bracelet, and this is such an amazing upgrade from the bracelet with rivets that we've seen on the Tudor Black Bay chronographs and Tudor Black Bays for a while. I think that was one of my biggest deterrents from buying a Tudor Black Bay, at least on a bracelet. If I was to get one, I would have been swapping it out for the NATO strap or one of the other straps, because the rivets really just didn't ever appeal to me. But this single link bracelet really gives this watch an elevated feel, and I think is just the best part, which is what really jumped out to me when I made the decision to purchase this watch. It is extremely comfortable because of the single link and the ability to make these micro adjustments on the fly. I've handled now quite a few watches with micro adjustments, and it is great to see that Tudor has really demonstrated what a luxury micro adjustment looks like. To me, this is even better than the Rolex micro adjustments on the new models, because this is just really quick. You lift and it slides and it locks right back into place. So probably not as cool as the Pelagos, but just as easy. This bracelet is amazing. Probably the best single link bracelet that I've had a chance to experience on my long years of collecting. The bracelet feels premium compared to watches at this price point. So this watch retails for just around $6,050. And I think it's definitely on par towards the high end for Tudor when you're looking at stainless steel models. But this bracelet is killer. So you're looking at about $100 price difference from the variants from a couple years ago with the bracelet with the rivets to being able to switch to this bracelet. This watch overall has a very durable and substantial feel. I swapped it out because you know me, if you've been watching this channel, that I do love a good NATO. Right now I have it on the Italian style marine NATOs from Erica Originals, and this just really looks great with this black strap with the red stitch. It plays really well off the 200 millimeter, 600, and a little splashes of red on the seconds hand. But this does feel overall tough. It is made from one solid block of steel. So kind of think Tudor Big Block. And this is a very nice hybrid from the old Tudor Big Blocks to the graduation from the Tiger Print styles. I actually own a Tudor Tiger Prince, and I thought this was a really stunning watch. It's just a really, really incredible piece. I would not mind owning one of these again, but I wanted something a little bit more modern in the collection. And so over the last year and a half, I ended up getting rid of that Tudor and my Rolex Kermit and upgrading to two newer models. This is a 40 millimeter Submariner, just one of the last serial numbers before they switched to 40. And I just think this was the ideal size. It was a great time for me to jump on these before these become really hard to get and the prices had come down and became a lot more accessible. Going back to the Tudor, the clasp does pick up some desk diving scratches, and that is normal for any polished steel bracelet. You can avoid this by taking your watch off if you're typing, or unless you're just maybe an amazing typer, you're always typing like this. That is not for me. Accuracy and performance, right now my Black Bay is running within plus or minus 5 seconds a day. When I last timed it, we were within 2 seconds a day, which is really, really fantastic for this watch within the first 30 days. The winding on the crown is very stiff compared to other watches. And gives me the impression that this watch is not necessarily, the crown is not necessarily meant to be wound. And I don't know if you can hear that, but that friction is not this really smooth, chunky winding mechanism. But we do get 70 hours of power reserve, which is substantial for a chronograph. Being able to leave the chronograph running and get 70 hours is also pretty awesome. And that is about the new standard for the industry today. So style and versatility for this piece, I really, really do like this. This is a sports watch to me, so I think from a style perspective, this is designed to be worn with t-shirt, jeans, or maybe a casual style button-up shirt, an Oxford shirt, etc. I would not personally wear this watch with a suit, particularly on the bracelet. However, I think if you put it on a very classy NATO, even a very nice leather strap, you could definitely pull it off with a suit. But I think, again, a chronograph with this much contrast might be a little bit too much, in my opinion. This can be dressed up with the right strap though, but not ideal, again, for like ultra formal settings. So no tuxedos, but if you're in like a two-piece blazer situation, I think this is a great piece. This is perfect for the weekend, taking a stroll in your favorite car. I also think it's tough enough if you wanted to ride your motorcycle with this watch. This is just a perfect weekend casual piece. And what I love about it, if you wanted to dress it down for a walk throughout the day, if you're in a major city, this is going to fit the bill. If you wanted to dress it up and add a little bit of bling for a nightlife event, this will also fit the bill on that single link bracelet. The single link bracelet is killer, and it definitely makes this watch pop, give it a little bit of bling, and stand off and jumps off your wrist. So a few things that surprised me about my love for this watch. Like, I went into Windsor thinking I was going to look at a Tudor Black Bay Pro, and I was really just going in and look just to try it on. And when I saw this next to it with that single link bracelet, I had to try it on. I normally prefer white dials or maybe a little bit of eggshell, especially if you're going to be a chronograph. But typically I don't like silver dials. This silver Opaline dial that Tudor pulled off is amazing. It is white in most lights, and it's a very unique matte white, which is a lot different from the Omega Speedmaster in white. It is just really smitten, and it creates this very warm and inviting look. I don't know what Tudor does to their dials. I had the same effect when I first tried on the Tudor Black Bay, the 925 in silver. That's a watch that I really do miss. And again, it's this very warm, inviting look that you don't get with a lot of watches. I love the matte black sub registers and the fixed stainless steel bezel. And with this matte black look, it really allows the watch to have a lot of contrast from really high glare to really matte, deep black that makes this just, again, stand out all on its own. The dome sapphire crystal balance is very nice, and they did a really great job with anti-reflectiveness that make this a photo worthy without having a lot of reflections. So great job, Tudor. I can really look down and enjoy the watch without always seeing my face in every shot. And then just the little details like the rose logo on the crown. This is just a great vintage touch. I love that Tudor has continued to put this in their DNA and make this a part of their, of their lineup. I've owned a lot of watches over the years, and the reason why I wanted to waited a few weeks, the first 3 days, like, I am just so in love with the watch, and it's really hard to find anything wrong with it. So would I buy the watch still after owning it for 3 weeks? Honestly, absolutely yes. I would still buy this. I was going back and forth between the white Speedmaster and this Tudor. The white Speedmaster is all white, and it is a beautiful watch. Definitely one I want to add to the collection. But I already have a Speedmaster, and so this Tudor just really scratched that Daytona Panda dial itch. I walked in for the Pro, and I walked out with this, and I don't have any regrets. I recently just put this on this NATO, and again, it is just a perfect look. Easy for me just to jump in a pool and not worry about doing any damage to my bracelet. This watch is perfect for someone who loves that vintage Rolex Daytona vibe, but hate being on the wait list, so good luck. Hopefully one day you get the call. I'm just waiting, and we'll see if that call ever happens. But if you appreciate the Tiger Prince chronograph lineup Tudor put out back in the 90s, but don't like all the Tiger branding, this is a really, really great alternative. You do not get 3 registers, but I actually like the bi-compact register with the date wheel at 6. I think that is such a balanced and clean aesthetic, and it definitely creates a very different, unique look that you don't see floating around every day. So as always, thank you for clicking on another review. Drop your questions or your own experiences if you own this watch or any other Tudor Black Bay Chronos. Would love to hear from you. What's your favorite feature to watch? If this review helped, please hit the like and subscribe button. This is what I love to do. I love to bring people together to talk about watches. With that, folks, this is Jimmy. I will see you all soon.